Alright, also look, welcome back to the channel, and guess what? It's fight week! And it's possibly the greatest fight week in all of 2024, UFC 308 fight week. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown as well as my analysis on UFC 308's main card. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 1,500 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look, for the curtain jerker, the first fight of the night, we've got a middleweight bout between Magomedov versus Arman Petrosyan. And for this matchup, I'm sliding with my boy Bullet to get the win this Saturday night. Now, we all know Bullet has sort of accumulated this interesting reputation as one of the rare few Dagestani fighters that have zero ground game, and that's super unusual for a fighter from that region. However, his striking has really set him apart, and despite some of his lackluster recent performances where his striking didn't look super sharp as it used to be, his flashy style is still captivating, and it's still exciting and entertaining and fun to watch. And you know, that being said, this fight is a major step up in competition for Bullet, who comes in undefeated at 14-0, and I do think he's got a lot more volume as well as power behind his shots compared to somebody like Arman Petrosyan. Now, Petrosyan does have a very decent and technical striking game as well as a super underrated and sneaky ground game, but overall, I do believe that Bullet will edge out the unanimous decision win, and it's definitely not going to be an easy fight for him, but I am picking Bullet Magomedov to come through with the victory. Moving up on the card, onto the light heavyweight division. We've got an interesting and a pivotal fight between Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. And this fight could shake up some things within the light heavyweight division. And you know what? I'm gonna be picking my guy Alexander Rakic for this one. Shocker. And you know, look, to simply put, I just think that Alexander Rakic's striking is way superior than Ankalaev's, and on the feet, I think this fight should go to Alexander, no question. I think he's the way better striker, especially from the outside and from the distance, and you know, yeah, he is coming off of the loss against Yuri Prochazka at UFC 300, but let's not forget that Yuri is a special case, because with Yuri Prochazka's wild and unorthodox and almost cartoonish fighting style, it's super hard to deal with, and that's what made the difference in that fight between him and Yuri Prochazka. And you know, let's not forget that before Yuri caught him, Alexander was winning the first round. I'm pretty sure he did win the first round, and he was doing really well in the second. And you know, it's just Yuri kind of forced Alexander to sort of deviate from his game plan, but unless you have that type of wild unpredictability factor like a Dricus Du Plessis and a Yuri Prochazka, it's gonna be kind of hard to throw off Alexander Rakic off of his game, and I just don't think Magomed Ankalaev has that in his arsenal. Magomed Ankalaev is more of your traditional counter striker, if anything, and you know, he's gonna try to stay from the outside and strategically pick his moments for attack, but I just don't think you can really beat Alexander Rakic with that type of game plan, because Rakic has some of the most underrated low kicks within the light heavyweight division. And you know, if we look back, Magomed Ankalaev has struggled a lot with low kicks before, especially with his fight against Jan Blachowicz, where he had trouble checking him like a mug. And you know, it's kind of noteworthy that a lot of people often assume that Magomed Ankalaev, you know, being a Dagestani fighter and all, is some type of elite wrestler. But the truth is, he's primarily a striker, and he will only use his wrestling if he absolutely has to. And even then, he's not even a submission threat, with 0 submission wins in his entire MMA career. And if this fight goes to the ground, I just don't see Magomed Ankalaev being able to keep Alexander Rakic on the ground for that long, if at all, because Rakic, contrary to popular belief, has some of the best takedown defense within the light heavyweight division, realistically making him a tough stylistic matchup for Magomed Ankalaev. And you know, in a 3-round fight, I just see that Alexander Rakic's skill set is gonna be a little hard to beat, and I'm predicting that Alexander Rakic will take the dub by either 3rd round TKO or a unanimous decision. And you know, honestly, even though I'd love to see Magomed Ankalaev take the dub here so we we can potentially see him face off against Alex Pereira and get exposed, I just don't see it happening. Next up on the card, we've got a featherweight bout between Leroy Murphy versus Dan 50K Ige. And look, off rip, this is going to be an insanely entertaining fight, but I've got to go toward my guy Leroy Murphy to get the win. Look, there will definitely be some exciting exchanges on the feed, but I think that Leroy Murphy's ability to avoid Dan Ige's big shots and land the cleaner and more effective strikes will be giving him the edge in this fight. And the one thing that stands out to me about Leroy Murphy is that, while he's primarily known as a striker, he has shown that he can go to the ground whenever he pleases. And even in his fight against Edson Barbosa, Murphy took some heavy shots, including Barbosa's infamous spinning heel kick, and still managed to recover and fight back. That to me kind of proves that Murphy not only has the heart, but the durability to withstand anything that Dan Ige throws at him during their fight. And over the course of 3 rounds, I just think that Leroy Murphy will be the one landing the bigger and better shots. And, he can even mix in his wrestling in order to control the pace as well. And, we've seen Dan Ige get out-wrestled before, most recently in his fight against Diego Lopez. So I think that Leroy Murphy will be able to use his wrestling whenever it's necessary. And while Dan Ige is known for his toughness as well as his sneaky KO ability, I think that Leroy Murphy's all-around game should be enough in order to get him the unanimous decision win. Now for the co-main event of the evening. We've got my namesake Khamzat Chimaev, the 13-0 wrestling phenom, facing against the former middleweight champion of the world, Robert the Reaper Whittaker. But come on, guys. Who did you really think I'm gonna pick right now? Of course I'm going with Khamzat Bars. And I know the major opinion within the MMA community is that if Khamzat Bars doesn't finish Robert Whittaker early, then Robert can take over the later rounds due to his superior cardio. But we've really got to negate this notion and this narrative that Khamzat has poor cardio. Come on now, are we really doing this? This is the same guy who won the first round and third rounds against Gilbert Burns, even though people said that he gassed out. And even more recently, he won the first round. First off, he 10-8'd him in the first round and then won the third round against Kamaru Usman while fighting on a broken arm. Did people honestly forget that Marty from Nebraska was the former pound-for-pound king, as well as a master grappler? Not to mention he had like a 97% takedown defensive rate, and Khamzat took him down multiple times and 10-8'd him in the first round. And even though people love to bring up this short notice factor, it was short notice for both fighters, and Khamzat still got the job done. And as for Bobby Knuckles, I think it's safe to say that he hasn't really been at top form lately. I mean, he got brutally TKO'd by Dricus du Plessis, and his performance against Paulo Costa wasn't particularly impressive either. I mean, we're talking about a Costa that hadn't even been super active at that point, yet Whittaker didn't even look that sharp. Let me remind y'all all that Khamzat Chimaev is a generational talent, and I truly believe that he is destined to take that middleweight strap sooner or later within the near future. And that's kind of why I'm picking Khamzat Chimaev to win this by either a first to second round submission, or if this goes the distance, it's by unanimous decision. And now for the moment we have all been waiting for months. The main event of the evening. We've got the 15-0 future 16-0 undisputed featherweight champion of the world, Ilia El Matador Topuria, going up against the former featherweight champion of the world and the current BMF champion, Max Blessed Holloway. And guys, I've made way too many videos regarding this topic, and I've got another one in the vault coming super soon, but to keep a long story short, I'm going with Ilia El Matador. But because I've already got an individual breakdown video covering the fight and how I think it'll play out coming later this week, I'm gonna just keep it short and sweet and really just list off both Ilia and Max's ways and areas of victory, starting off with the champion himself, Ilia El Matador. For Ilia El Matador, I think his keys to victories are obviously to close the distance, because he's got insanely incredible combinations in those short to mid ranges. And while Max does have the reach advantage and does stand at 5'11", I really don't think that'll pose that much of a problem for Ilia El Matador. His head movement is beyond elite, not to mention his absolutely flawless footwork that is arguably the best in the game today. And if Ilia El Matador is struggling in the striking department, he can always just take this to the ground and hunt for a submission, though I doubt he'll need to go that route, honestly. As for Max Blessed, I think his path to victory lies within him utilizing his range, staying on the outside and relying on his go-tos, the straight punches, particularly like the jabs and the 1-2 slip 1-2 combinations. He's also got to utilize his height as well as his reach advantage in order to somewhat simulate the amount of success Jai Herbert had in the first round in his fight against Ilia El Matador. However, Ilia Topuria has dealt with taller fighters before, and I just don't see Max Holloway having enough in order to exploit any of Ilia's weaknesses. That is why I am predicting a brutal KO finish from Ilia El Matador in the second to third rounds. And if anyone was gonna beat him, it would have been Volkanovski, but I just don't think that Max Holloway has the tools in order to pull it off. I've got Ilia El Matador Topuria by KO against Max Holloway. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys have to say about UFC 308 Ilia El Matador Topuria versus Max Holloway. Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.